What is the most heartbreaking thing your mother-in-law has done to you? The worst thing wasn't my mother-in-law poisoning me. It was why she did it. Craig and I had a whirlwind romance. We met on one of my rare vacations, fell head over heels, and got married at a courthouse within 2 months. Neither of us had met the other's family yet, but we didn't care. We were in love. My family met Craig a few weeks later and adored him. His family, however, was a different story. A grueling work schedule kept me tied to the city, so it took nearly a year before I could visit them. When I finally met his parents, his dad was nice, but his mom, Betsy, was ice cold. She barely looked at me and wouldn't say more than a word or two. On the last day of our visit, Craig suggested a hike in the nearby national park. I was excited to go, but then it hit me. Waves of nausea so intense I couldn't leave the bathroom. I chalked it up to bad luck. The second time we visited, the same thing happened. I got sick right after a meal Betsy had prepared, ruining plans Craig had made for us. By the third trip, I was suspicious. Nobody else got sick, just me. Craig brushed it off, saying it must be an allergy to his mom's cooking. That made sense, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Determined to prove it wasn't allergies, I cooked a casserole to bring with us on our next visit. But after 2 bites, the nausea returned. Then I realized I'd left my wine unattended while heating the casserole. I confronted Craig, accusing his mom of poisoning me. He was furious, calling me paranoid. I told him I wouldn't visit his family again if she was there, and we fought for days before he reluctantly agreed. Months later, we were driving past his hometown en route to a romantic getaway. Craig insisted we stop and bring pizzas to avoid awkwardness. I decided to try an experiment. When no one was looking, I switched our plates. Craig got violently ill. Watching him suffer confirmed my worst fears. Betsy was poisoning me. But when I told him what I'd done, he exploded. He shoved me into a wall, threw me over the couch, and screamed like a man possessed. I ran barefoot out the door, keys and phone in hand, and drove to a friend's house, terrified he'd follow. 2 days later, I got a message from the police. Craig was dead. He'd broken into his parents' house with a knife. Betsy shot him in self-defense. At the funeral, I learned things that shook me to my core. Craig had been married before, and his wife had died in a tragic hiking accident. Craig had collected a huge life insurance payout, and Betsy always suspected he'd killed her. She didn't trust him alone with me, especially in remote areas. The poison, her way of keeping me safe, sabotaging every trip he planned. I refused to press charges against her. She had saved my life. Now I visit Betsy sometimes when I need a break from the city. Her cooking, still the best I've ever had.